Oh, gosh, she is just a powerhouse in my life and in the lives of most people that she's touched along the way. She's dynamic, she's effervescent, she's funny, she's brave, she's gorgeous, she's bold, she's courageous, she's kind, she's loving. She was just everything, really, just one of the best mums anyone could ever hope for and a best friend. But mentally, there's just very little there, and it's very hard to watch. If I had advanced dementia, I would 100% want the opportunity to be euthanized.
Yeah, I don't know if I could make that decision. Even if I actually knew I was going to lose my mind, like Dad did.
We've always been close, haven't we?
Yes.
I think the biggest change with Mum's condition is that we've been robbed of this wonderful personality. And that's what's been hard to deal with.
Granny, how's Mother's Day? How's Mother's Day?
Oh, it's wonderful. I have been so spoiled. I am actually having 6 years of Mother's Day. I'm 7 in one day.
She's like a blank version of herself. You can still see sparks of her personality come through.
Get some grub in the pub.
And that's amazing to see when it happens, but just generally, it's quite hard to see because she's really vacant. She's just, yeah, a really reduced down version of herself because she can't remember anything.
We need to get that over there. Yeah, I'd film Deborah as much as me, to be honest. I'm not used to being part of the stories I cover. But when my colleague Carolyn Ming-Yi came to me with the idea of a documentary on dementia, it seemed almost inevitable that I'd end up in front of the camera, talking about my personal and painful connection to this issue. But we're going to get into that a bit later.
Well, everyone, if I can raise a glass, please, to new family, new friends. So lovely to have you here at Danbury, and let's hope this is the first of many, many wonderful memories to come. Cheers. Cheers, darling. I won't try and disguise the fact that it's been really difficult seeing Mum deteriorate so badly. Get stuck in, everyone. Can I dish up for you? I mean, I envisaged her old age with us, and she should have been at that table holding court and running it like an orchestra, because that was Mum. But she can't even remember her own name now, and she can't leave her memory loss unit because it creates such anxiety for her. What about this handsome man? He was the love of your life.
Was he? What?
Mr. Rex Bond.
Oh, it's Rex, yeah. He's aged a bit, hasn't he, since then? Oh, there we are.
There we go.
That's more like it.
That's you and Rexy.
That's right.
So Rex passed about 5 years ago, and that was when we noticed a decline in Mum. We took her to our family doctor, and the family doctor asked some very simple things that we just would never even think of asking. The first one was, what day is it? And she described it was a Thursday, and she said, and what's the date today? And she stumbled around on that one, and I had to look at my phone as well because I'm so reliant on our appliances. And then she said, and what month is it? And Mum had no idea what month it was. And then she said, and what year is it? And she got it wrong by about 15 years. And literally, you could have knocked me over. I just looked at her and I thought, wow, this is way worse than we thought it was. There's something going on here.
We have known for a really long time that dementia is a growing silent epidemic. Due to our ageing population, the numbers are going to rise in the next 30 years from 70,000 to 170,000. And it's going to cost the economy $4.6 billion. We won't have enough dementia care beds. We knew this was coming. The World Health Organization, before COVID, said that it was going to be a big global health crisis, and they were encouraging countries to get their plans in place now to address this. You know, we're only serving and supporting such a small percentage.
Well, dementia means without mind. It means a person is starting to lose those critical facilities which make you particularly human. Dementia can occur in all different ways. Alzheimer's accounts for about 60%, but then we've got multi-infarct dementia, which is small strokes. You've got frontotemporal dementia, which runs in families. So dementia is a global term which just describes a pattern of symptoms.
There's a change in thinking abilities, so memory, language, visual-spatial processing, and there's a change in the person's ability to function in everyday life. So their ability to complete the ordinary tasks we do every day is noticeably impaired.
Alzheimer's is caused through brain cell death. We don't know why those cells die. We know when we look at the brain afterwards, after death, that they have particular deposits of toxic proteins like amyloid and tau. So when you look at a person who's died with Alzheimer's disease, their outside of their brain is shrunken, the cortex folding is thinner. By the time death comes, if it's from natural Alzheimer's, they've lost 1/3 of their brain weight. And that means they've lost 30 billion brain cells, you see.
There are a number of other kinds of factors that are definitely risk factors for Alzheimer's disease. Untreated high blood pressure is a risk factor, hearing loss in the midlife, social isolation, probably inactivity is a risk factor, both physical and cognitive.
I remember those. Your granny gave you those. Those are Zulu Christmas decorations.
Oh, yes.
She was in denial. She said there's nothing wrong with her. Absolutely nothing wrong. The doctors have got it wrong. And she was quite angry, actually, that the doctor that we were sent to was called a geriatric counsellor. And she said, that is so rude. It should be a mature counsellor.
So just don't keep pointing that finger.
And so when she has that type of repartee and dialogue, of course you think, well, they may have got it wrong. Oh, new model.
A lot of people don't necessarily understand that dementia is a terminal illness. It's one of the longest terminal illnesses, lasting 8 to 10 years. There is no cure for dementia. We live in hope of the day that there will be a cure for dementia. You know, I think one of the things that we need to get a deeper understanding of in New Zealand is how many people are dying in our country from dementia. It is the leading cause of death in the UK, and it is the leading cause of death in females in Australia. You know, somebody's developing dementia in the world every 3 seconds now.
And look at this handsome young couple.
Oh, right.
That's you and Dad on your wedding day.
Yes. That's Derek. And me in my beautiful frock.
Yes.
Boom! But if you want to start a rumble, you better start alone because I'm evil. Oh yeah, I'm evil. My middle name is Misery.
So my parents got divorced many years ago, and my father moved to America and remarried and lived over in the States. So it was a bit of a surprise to me a few years ago to get a call from the care home that Dad was in to say that he'd gone missing. And they said they were concerned because he was in dementia or going into dementia, and he'd just gone missing. 24 hours later, I had another phone call, early hours of the morning. and my dad had found his way to Auckland, and he stepped off a plane literally in his pajamas, his slippers, his overcoat for the New York winter, and his wallet and passport. So I picked Dad up from the airport and I took him to see Mum in the retirement village, and they had a very emotional reunion. Mum remembered him. Mum fell in love with Dad all over again, but she didn't realise it was Dad. She thought it was a new fella in the retirement village. And she was adamant that this new fella's name was Ron Mark. It's not Ron Mark, it's Derek Pead, I used to tell her. You have to have some laughs, you know, with all the sadness and the distress of the situation, there are lots of laughs. It's not how you expect your family to age. You know, you have this vision of Mum being part of the family unit and living happy families out in the way that it was planned. But unfortunately, her level of care that she requires and attention doesn't permit that anymore. And so, you know, a very wise friend said to me once that the retirement village or the care village is the new village structure. That's the new support that steps in to help you.
Anne was a character. Anne was fun-loving, she was funny, she was incredibly caring and kind. When you first met her, you would think that she was completely in control of her faculties. She held a conversation, she made perfect sense. But once you got to know Anne, you'd realise it was a repetitive conversation of about 6 topics. Good morning, top of the world to you, how are you, great day, lovely outside. And then she would repeat that over and over. Anne became a kleptomaniac. She would forage around the village, in and out of residents' rooms, taking bottles of wine, taking ornaments, personal possessions. And as she deteriorated, she would become more upset at the thought of being accused of stealing. So she would react quite badly in that she would be challenging to other residents and very vocal and very hostile. And in some occasions, you know, she would reach out and shake their walker or try to push things that were totally not the Anne that we knew.
I know with absolute certainty that if my mother had known what was ahead, she would not have wanted the pain of what's happening right now, not just for her family to see her the way she is, but her own life. It's got no meaning right now. And I know for certain that Mum would not have wanted that.
A lot of people might say a person with dementia still has value in our society. It's just about us having to look after them. It's just a phase of life. I mean, isn't that a counter to that?
I would question that. I think Mum has value to me because she's my mum, but we can't have a conversation. She doesn't recognise me. She doesn't recognise herself. She doesn't know what she's doing. And so, does she still have value in life? It would be hard to say yes. But she has value to me because she's my mum. I have said that if I deteriorated the same way and as quickly as Mum did, I would want to put some checks and balances in place so that I could make a decision about if I wanted to continue with life or not. There we go.
If Mum wants to be euthanized, I would 100% agree with what she would want. I would never want to put her in a position where she is like Granny.
I think they've seen the pain I've gone through with Mum and they understand what's happened. And so I think there's a certain amount of acceptance there.
Yeah.
If we get to that stage, I will definitely take steps to end my life, even if it's not in New Zealand. Great big champagne-fueled lunch on the shores of Lake Geneva sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think you look beautiful.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.